And we are back. Peanut Gallery segment.
Yes.
Tiger Height didn't know who Joel Osteen was for about a hot minute.
No. I read the name and I'm like,
right.
Who the
Yes.
Now I know who it is.
All right. So, anyways, let's talk a little bit about the religion of Hulk Hogan because he's been pretty vocal about it in recent months. I'm going to mention those comments a little bit later, but. Very interesting quotes that he has. Very interesting polarizing messages that he's been sending. Hulk Hogan is very widely known for his religion. He was, quote, saved when he was 14 years old. So his beliefs, his faith have always been a very big part of his life. What is very interesting to me, though, is that he also ascribes to positive thinking. He believes in the power of positive thinking. And if you know about this particular movement within Christianity, it really takes a lot of like the the Warrens and Joel Osteens of the world. They really promote more of that positive thinking mindset, that positive or what do you call it? The prosperity gospel, if you want to say that, of Christianity. So it kind of gives me a pretty good idea into...
So you're not bashing the thought of the power of positive thinking. You're bashing the Christian version of the power of positive thinking.
I think the power of positive thinking is overblown anyways.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with thinking positively, if you read all of these books and stuff, what happens is that then people they'll want to like consume the next book, because they'll want to think positively and read all these positive messages all the time. But those are the people who don't actually get anywhere. So the problem is
as I have 2 Tony Robbins books on my bookshelf.
Right. There's nothing inherently wrong with positive thinking. The problem is they've turned it into an industry where now people are reliant upon it.
Okay, once again, it goes back to my question. The power of positive thinking is a thing. You're not going to get anywhere unless you have self-confidence,
right?
And if you actually think you can do it,
right?
But it's the business side of the power of positive thinking that is where you have a contention.
Exactly.
With. Okay.
Exactly.
It's not the idea; it's the people espousing the idea.
Right, because again, they are banking on the fact that you are going to continue to buy their programs, their books, their CDs.
Now, I got the Tony Robbins books at
videos.
Goodwill, so...
and again, the problem is that 90% of the people that read that crap won't actually like do anything.
Implement that
mindset into their business or whatever. And then they'll want to keep buying it
because they're like
later on. Something is missing, right? And so if you know anything about Joel Osteen, he's the guy that owns the former NBA arena in Houston.
Yes.
That's his church.
He is right now the main gigantic mega church.
Like if you think about a mega church, you think about Joel Osteen's church. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
At least for right now, but then there were others in the past, like your Creflo Dollars.
Right.
And,
Creflo Dollar's still around. He's more of a black preacher though.
Right.
I mean, he espouses those ideals, but we're not talking about that.
I can't think of any of them off the top of my head.
Hulk Hogan has spoken at many of Joel Osteen's leadership conferences and stuff like that. So I have an idea about where Hulk Hogan is kind of getting his Christianity from, what type of Christianity he believes in. He's very open about his faith. He attends a mega church, I think, in Tampa, because he lives in Tampa now.
Yes, he does. Yep.
I don't know exactly which church he goes to. I'm sure I could find it if I did my research.
It is a mega church. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
But what I do want to talk about, though, are some of his recent comments about the coronavirus. So the first comment, this is the comment that really got people peeved is that he made mention of the quote, maybe we do not need a vaccine. Maybe we don't need this vaccine because people need more Jesus in their life.
Oh,
so what he is doing is he is taking this opportunity with the virus and everything, and he's essentially trying to evangelize people. Now, I have a lot of problems with people trying to evangelize. I know it's within your credo to do it, but don't. Most people already know about Jesus, whether you know it or not. Some people just don't believe in the garbage. But you don't want to alienate your fans by stating that they don't, that there's a possibility that we don't need this vaccine. But we do want this vaccine. People are dying. And the problem is that when you say that and you go back to your faith, you go back to your religion, you go back to the power of positive thinking. Positive thinking is not going to cure you from the coronavirus. If you die from it, you die from it. No matter how positive you think it is, no matter how powerful you think prayer is, the body's just going to do what it does.
Right.
And the only way that we are going to completely eradicate this is if we have a vaccine. And even then, the vaccine is not going to be the be-all, end-all. I think we'll have this around for generations.
Yeah, this thing is not going to go away. It's like SARS and MERS. It's not going to go away. Obviously, we are much better equipped right now as we were back in fucking March.
Right.
But here's my thing. When you become a celebrity, and Hogan, in every sense of the word, is a celebrity.
Right.
Okay, number one, he can say this.
Right.
I'm not saying for a fact.
I'm not saying that you can't say
this. But the problem
right.
is that he's influential to a point that people take his word as gospel.
Right.
He can say it, but he has to be very careful on how he says it.
Right. So he's alienated a lot of fans because a lot of fans, especially fans who have lost loved ones because of the coronavirus.
Or even went through it.
Right. Or people who have gone, or people who really want this vaccine to come to protect their loved ones, they're taking Hulk Hogan's word as, oh, he's just going back to his old religious crap again. Right. It's the same with all of it. And then the other thing, too, the other comments I wanted to make as well, is that Hulk Hogan made a comment where he compared the coronavirus to the plagues in Egypt. And what he said was, God was taking away our access to the shops so that we could not spend money, taking away our access to our civic functions, taking our access away for worship, because everything was shutting down.
Right.
And so what he said was that people just need to go do some personal reflection and rely on Jesus. People need to find Jesus. See, this is him evangelizing. And this is very much a hallmark within his religion. I mean, this is what he thinks he is called to do.
Right.
There's nothing inherently wrong with practicing your faith.
It's not your responsibility to evangelize. In fact, Jesus said not to. Guess what? That's his job.
Right. And
morons.
You know, who's going to take it as like, oh, this is why this is happening? No, it's happening because we just mutated.
Right.
It's a mutated disease.
We can point the fingers of the COVID. We can point the fingers at the COVID and the response to it all we want.
Right.
Number one, it's not going to do anything.
Right.
It's separating this country to a point that I've never seen. Eventually we'll be fine, obviously, because numbers don't lie. But the problem is that this kind of stuff is going to be hurting a lot of people who are looking for answers.
Right.
And they're going to look at you, Mr. Hogan, I'm sorry, as a person of authority. You are a figure of authority. You have to be careful.
Right.
Now, if he said in that tweet, take this time to self-reflect and, be thankful for what you have now, your health, your family, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Then guess what? You would look so much fucking better. And if you are faithful, turn to Jesus for guidance. If you did that,
but
then
no,
great,
he's
then awesome.
he's making his appeals to try and convince people that Jesus is the way.
It's not your job.
It's not.
No, your Bible said that this kind of stuff is not what you're supposed to do.
Right.
You're only supposed to believe and tell people about it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
There are people that are called fucking priests. That's their responsibility.
Right. You're not a preacher, Hogan. Sorry. But you know
and
what?
Joe Osteen is not either.
And what I'm saying is that his words can be very harmful for people who are looking for answers. And his words,
and especially right now, a lot of the people that are our age grew up watching Hulk Hogan.
Right.
Now, obviously, he was a lot more prominent in the early 90s and 80s.
Right.
But he was still very prominent. We're Attitude Era kids.
Right.
We saw him in WCW and in 2002 through 2005.
Right.
He was a big part of our lives.
Right.
Obviously, I'm not a complete idiot, and I can separate Hogan from a human who makes mistakes.
Right.
I don't care what you do. Fuck your girlfriend's wife. Say the N-word. I don't give a shit.
Right. But see, and I think we should talk about that too. It's like, oh, hey, you know, he's done all of these quote sinful things. It's like, you know, but again, that's part of his brand of Christianity right there. And I think
I think he was responsible on doing what he said, and he's like, okay, I do need to apologize, but also at the same time, he thought it was a one-on-one conversation. So number one, I don't give a shit how racist you are.
We're straying too far away from the conversation at hand. We're just talking about Hulk Hogan.
He was protecting his public image more than he was actually doing his proselytizing to his religion. Let's put it that way.
So, anyways, my point is that sometimes words can hurt you.
Right.
And it can hurt others, and you don't realize it. But Hulk Hogan is losing a lot of fans now because of his comments about.
To a point, this doesn't just go with Hogan. This is something to talk to about Jackson Riker.
Right.
Talk to something about Val Venus.
Right.
Talk to something about Jim Cornette. These people are not just people.
Right. They're people with authority. They're
it's perceived authority.
Right. People give them undue authority, and while that is perfectly fine, you know, although you shouldn't take anyone's word for gospel unless you actually know it yourself to be true.
Right.
But my point is that people who are in positions of authority need to think about what they say.
Right.
They need to be very, because Hogan is going to lose a lot of fans over his comments about, you know, maybe we don't need a vaccine. Maybe all we need is Jesus.
Right.
I'm like, do you know how tired that is? That is old, like, preachy style stuff, and that's not what we need to hear right now.
Right.
Hulk Hogan should be telling people to put on a fucking mask, keep their distance, and wash their hands like he did in the 80s.
Right.
Take your medicine.
Say your prayers, take your vitamins, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But also, you know, I mean, like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate here as much as I can. He has every right to say it. He has every right to do this.
But he's using his platform for the wrong purposes.
Right. Now, if people are actually going to a church and they're finding some comfort in it in these trailing times, wif I don't care. The thing is with that personal building thing, I think that's a great message. If he left it at that, great. And guess what? If people are like, hey, Hogan, I'm trying to figure this out because I'm having problems. He can say, okay, go to your church, talk to your preacher, maybe go to a mass. He's okay to say that.
Right.
But he's being very preachy. I saw the tweets too. I'm like, whoa, let's put on the brakes here. You're being a little too crazy about this.
Right. So, anyways, that's all I've got. Anything else that you'd like to add?
I'm going to give a piece of advice, and I think both of us can say it too with a person of authority, because even though we're not as big as Hogan and some of these other people, we do have that power.
Right.
Right now, we do have a fan base that follows us everywhere. We need to be careful what we say. People pretty much know that we're characters here. And Hogan, you're not a current active competitor. And people do take your stuff as gospel because you're Hulk Hogan. People, please be careful what you say on social media.
Yes.
This is for everybody because
especially with the week and a half before the elections, please be very careful with what you say on social media.
For me, I'm going to be I posted the amount that I have for promotion. But for the most part, I'm pretty much going to stay off of social media. It's going to become very toxic.
Yes, it is.
And I might say something that I might regret.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I can, especially when I have a couple of drinks in me. And you've seen them, I become a little bit depressy when I have one too many and get on my fucking Snapchat.
Right.
But you got to be careful. Maybe take some time to do what Hogan said that I agree with. Take some personal reflection time.
Right.
Maybe do something that you want to do. Enjoy your life.
Right.
You know?
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, so is that all you have?
Yes.
Okay. So when we come back from break, we are going to do wrestling lessons with Tiger Heights.
Yeah.